Hey everyone, so I am here doing um, a video on the first four episodes of the Netflix original show, The Irregulars. So it's essentially kind of Sherlock Holmes esque show. Um, it doesn't necessarily center on Sherlock Holmes himself, it more so focuses on um, John Watson, who as you probably most people probably know by now, is Sherlock Holmes's um, sidekick, kind of like the Robin to his Batman or whatever, if you want to say. So, um, but it really truly kind of centers around these four teams who are nicknamed the Irregulars, as the name of the show suggests. There's B, who is the leader of the four. Um, there's Spike, who um, is more of like the comedic person. Um, and honestly, he's not that bad looking either, to be honest, if I'm being honest. But he's also, a fast talker type of person and, able to get information, sort of being like the charmer and stuff. So, and then there's Billy, who, well, technically the oldest. So one would think that he would be more so the leader. He's actually really just the muscle of the group. And then there's Jesse, who's B's younger sister, who we come to find out in the first four episodes, within the first four episodes, that she is what people call an Sisyphus, or essentially someone who um, sees when she touches somebody, whether it's their bare skin or their through their clothes, essentially sees their past, I guess you could say. She sees what they have done previously, um, and she, and it's more so really seeing the, well, because no, because in episode 3, she sees the past of someone who's not really, who doesn't have any powers, from what I could tell. She sees, this guy in episode 3 essentially um, steal his uncle's tarot cards when his uncle's having a heart attack and dying. Um, but um, so it's not necessarily specific to people who have powers, but more often than not, she comes into contact with people who um, are given these specific powers. Each episode so far has a localized mystery to it. Um, and the mystery has, obviously, as you could tell, has a um, supernatural focus to it. In episode 1, um, this man is, stealing babies who were born on the same day that his baby was born. But it turns out his baby died the same day that these other babies were born. So he's thinking that his baby was stolen, um, and swapped out and whatever for a baby that actually did die. And his power is he's able to control birds, and specifically, I think it's ravens that he is manipulating, not mostly manipulating. I think he's able to manipulate all other kinds of birds, but that's his power. Was that he used a Ouija board to basically to um, ask to be able to see or be able to find his daughter, and maybe even his wife. Um, that's what really kind of happens in episode one. Um, and Jesse's able to help him realize that um, due to his grief, he suppressed the memory of his wife and daughter dying. In episode two, this woman whose father had committed suicide by the hands of this Duke of Winchester, um, she gets granted the power of a tooth fairy, and so she essentially, when a kid loses their tooth, she manages to take all of their teeth, not just like their baby teeth or anything, but their adult teeth as well. And she's able to make a clone of those children that lost their teeth and use them to get revenge on this Duke of Winchester. Um, and she also uses the mother of like the wife of the Duke of Winchester as well. So that's kind of episode two. And Spike, has to, or not Spike, B has to kill. She has to kill the woman, the tooth fairy woman, because she's using one of the people that she cloned to try to kill Billy. And so she doesn't want to do it, but she has to. Um, and then so that's episode two. In episode three, like I said, we learned the word ipsissimus, and we learned that at the house of Mycroft Holmes, who is obviously the brother of Sherlock Holmes. So essentially, Mycroft is part of this or occult cult called the Golden Dawn, and there's this leader of the specific chapters of this Golden Dawn, called a Magus. I want to call him Magus, but maybe it's called Magus. And he wants the help of these four to, figure out for sure um, what is like why this leader was killed and why subsequent members of this particular chapter are being killed. Turns out it's one of the members. I can't remember her name at the moment, escaping me, but so, and this is obviously the episode where we find out that Jessica's called an ipsissimus. So turns out Mycroft is not actually a member of the Golden Dawn. He's part of like a CIA agent, essentially, like type of person who is trying to um, get information on paranormal activity, essentially in the city, because there's this thing called the Rip, where it's like supernatural activities are happening, and something bad can happen associated with this specific Rip, and he's trying to make sure nothing happens again. So that's episode three, and then in episode four, um, B and Jess have found out that Sherlock and Watson knew their mother, and so because they found a picture of their mother with Watson, and they feel like their mother was driven mad because of experiments that those two had conducted on her. So B is trying to find Sherlock um, this entire episode, while Jess, Billy, and Spike work with Inspector Lestrade to figure out why um, some local men are being murdered and their face is being cut off. Um, Turns out it's because of this woman named Clara, who, having gone to a local pub, was drugged and then raped at a local pub, and she ended up contracting a sexually transmitted disease, and because of it became infertile. So she's seeking revenge on her attackers. So that's when what's her power is um, when she takes the face of these men, she puts it on her face and then is able to physically alter herself to look like these men. Um, so that's why she does it. But in the end, Jessica lets her um, run off and be free essentially. Um, so that's pretty much episodes 1 through 4. I think those 4 episodes were strong, solid foundation. I wasn't sure I was gonna like it because I've heard some people say maybe, or not maybe, but I heard people say the second half isn't as strong as the first half. I'm trying to keep an open mind going into the second half because I did like the first half, and I think the characters are likable considering that the main characters are in their late teens. And I do know that it has been canceled, so I do have to keep that in mind that if they kind of end on a cliffhanger, we won't be getting a season 2 for it, not unless Netflix decides to lift that and actually do like uh, season 2 for whatever reason. But the only thing I will say is that at times the episode does get dark. Like it's hard to see what um, the characters are doing. But I'm chalking that mostly up to the fact that it's supposed to be in the Victorian era, so kind of like steampunkish looking. So I'm not gonna be too hard on Netflix for having done that, um, because I mean it's the time that's the time period that it's supposed to be in. So I'm not gonna be too hard on them for doing that because um, steampunk sort of things tend to have a dark color scheme to them. So I'm not gonna go too hard on Netflix for doing that. But that was my only tiny little issue with the first 4 episodes. Um, Otherwise, so far I think it's great. Um, and I'm just so when I was watching episode 1, and oh, and I forgot to mention that the this kid named Leopold, who is the prince of Queen Victoria. Um, he makes an acquaintance with the Irregulars, and so um, but he doesn't let them know that he's actually the Prince of England at this point. So in episode 1, he after he had kind of inadvertently seen you know, be stand up for Jessie when she's almost run over by the horse carriage carrying Leopold. He goes on this little journey trying to find uh, B and everyone else, and he gets to this pub. Before he gets to the pub that they usually are hanging around, and he goes in and it's like, I'm trying to find this one pub, uh, but in the before you tell me, I want to get a cup of ale. And so he's like, he puts the money down, and he's like, he he says, "Is this enough? Is this the correct amount?" And clearly, the bartender is just like, he says, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah," because he's laughing, but he's like, "Oh yeah, this is the correct amount." Clearly, it's not the correct amount, and I'm just like, that entire scene. I was like, bless his what did I say? Bless his sheltered little heart, because I'm like, just bless his little heart, because he clearly doesn't know any better, and I'm just like, he's just so naive and cute, and it's just it was funny. It was honestly funny, and I was just like, yeah. But so, and then clearly Billy has an issue with Leo because of the fact that clearly Leo and B get along pretty well, and they're into each other, and he doesn't like that because he's in love with her, and it's just like, in episode 3, Billy's like, or not Billy, Leo's like rightfully so, saying, "It's not my fault that you didn't tell B that you loved her, and it's not my fault that you don't have the courage to do that." Like, so I mean, it is what it is. These two need to get over themselves, especially Billy, because it's like, come on, like, if you wanted to start dating her, you should have told her a long time ago. It's not, Leo's fault that you didn't do any of that. And so, anyway, either way, uh, so far I like it. I'm gonna try to keep an open mind when going into episode 5 and to episode 8, because I've heard people say again that the second half isn't as strong as the first half. So I'll try to keep an open mind when watching these last 4 episodes, which I'm probably gonna try to finish watching tomorrow, uh, since tomorrow's Sunday and everything. So with that said, I'll see you guys later.